fresh out the box.
Fresh California plums.
Welcome to another episode of Fresh Film Fridays, the podcast where two dudes pick the newest films streaming or in theaters and discuss them. Today we're talking about A Christmas Story Christmas, and is currently streaming on HBO Max and was directed by Clay Cadis. I'm your co-host, Alec.
Oh, I'm Eric. Just kidding, it's Justin.
Yeah, you know, it's a cute movie. It was fun. You've seen the original one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that one's like, that's one of the original, not the original, but that's like a Christmas classic. I mean, TBS plays it excessively every year for 24 straight hours on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Everybody knows you'll shoot your eye out, blah, blah, blah. So this one, sequel. We got a sequel.
Yep.
What'd you think?
Well, the first thing I thought was, why? Why was this made? Why did it take like 40 years? You know, I just had questions. Yeah, I looked at the main character, Ralphie, his IMDb. I don't know what he's been doing. Since like 1990. He was in some kid movies. I'm assuming he's living a normal life.
Yeah, it doesn't really say much about him. The actor is Peter Billingsley, who produced this, and I believe he wrote it, right? Yeah, he did. Story by, so he came up with a story for this. So, yeah, I don't really think he is doing too much either, which is kind of interesting. But hey, he's keeping it together. He looks pretty good for 51. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's living comfortably off royals from the first one.
I don't know, but I'm assuming just based on Macaulay Culkin saying that he makes so much money off royalties and residuals from Home Alone 1 and 2 around the holidays. I would imagine TBS playing this 24 hours a day, all of the commercials, you know, that's probably a pretty nice chunk of change.
Yeah, I don't know if he's like mega millionaire, but he definitely doesn't have to work a 9 to 5.
No, but wait, he was in Spider-Man Far From Home.
Who was he?
I didn't see it, but it says Spider-Man Far From Home, he was William Ginter Riva? That was the character name? 2019?
Yeah, I mean, I don't recognize him from that.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so he was, I guess he was in that. So he has been acting, but definitely not like a household name or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. You know what I was thinking though? I was like, dude, like this guy could have really let himself go. He kept it together for the 40 years or whatever between these movies. Yeah,
and you know, we were just talking about on Terrifier 2 profits, right? And I'm looking at the original, A Christmas Story. Budget was $3.3 million roughly, and it grossed almost $21 million. And this is in 1983, and they could have made a second one the next year. They could have made 5 of these, and they just didn't.
I mean, we're also kind of looking at this from like a modern day standpoint, like. And again, I wasn't there back then, but it seemed like back then they were just making movies to make good movies. Now it's like, okay, do you have sequel potential? Is this going to be, you know, marketable in all these other countries?
Spider-Man 73.
But seriously, it's like it's not about the movie anymore. It's about like how much money can we make? Is it profitable in multiple markets? Where's the sequel potential? You know, where in 1983 they're making this movie and then that was it.
That's true. Well, the question I have for you is, if this movie did not come straight to HBO and came out in theaters, do you think it would be profitable?
No.
Why?
I just think that there's like not a... It's been too long, you know? It's been 40 or 39 years since the last one came out. You know, either you loved it when you were a kid, but that's the thing, like my parents were like 18 when this movie came out, so they didn't really show it to me as a kid. Like I just kind of came upon it. It wasn't like one of those movies that they showed me. Like, how did you see the first one when you were a kid?
It was probably just rerun on TV and I watched it, but you're right. Unfortunately, if you don't fit that exact like timeline, like you're not 7 in 1983 or you watched it as a family and now you're showing it to your kid, this is just another Christmas movie that you would have missed.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the first one takes place in like 1940. So, you know, like my grandparents were like just being born then. So I don't think even they were watching this movie in 1983 being like, that's like my childhood. And then my parents were too old in 1983 to really show me this. So yeah, it kind of went under the radar for me at least, but I've always liked it. You know, I've seen it, I don't know, probably 10 times throughout my life, but it's not one of my go-tos.
Yeah, and you just reminded me of one of the biggest issues I had with this movie. So you said the first one took place in the 1940s, right?
Yeah, in 1940, yeah.
Okay, so this is how long in the movie later? I mean, he's like a kid. It's at least 35 years, right? 40 years.
So this movie takes place in 1973, I think, or 74. So it would be
Oh.
35 years or 34 years later. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was later because a lot of the technology was like super old, like the cash registers and the cop cars. So for some reason, I thought it was like the 90s or something. So yeah, 70s. It makes sense then.
Yes, it's 1973, 33 years after the events of A Christmas Story. So
Okay.
that was the thing. I didn't, to your point, I didn't really think they did enough to hammer home that it was the 70s. Like, no 70s music really, with the exception of the cars. I guess the outfits were sort of 70s, but I don't know. It didn't stand out that much to me.
Yeah, that, and then other than the one crying scene where he was writing the obituary, they seemed like pretty okay that the dad just died during Christmas, which is like their thing. The mom was like completely fine. Nobody really seemed like overly upset. I don't know.
What do you want? Like a scene of them just all hugging and crying? Like, I miss Dad. It's like, I miss Dad too.
I mean, something.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. They're pretty upset. They had the phone call where it's like, stay right there. We're coming.
I started laughing when they arrived at the mom's house, and he was like, it was no big deal, Mom. And I expected her to be like, oh, actually, your father's fine. We just didn't want to drive to shithole Chicago. Like,
Oh my God. No. Well, I was like trying to think. I don't know if they said it, but like I think this guy was born in like 1900, right? Like the character is supposed to be born then. I don't know. So this guy's
it's a dude from Gremlins. Don't give them water after midnight or something. Whatever he said.
is that him?
Yeah, dude.
Oh wow. I don't know why I didn't think that. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Like, on paper, this is a good idea for a movie. I mean, it's like, hey, how are we going to do a follow-up to this? It's like, why don't we make Ralphie be the guy that has to, like, take the place of his father and make sure his kids have a great Christmas? But, like, have you seen Christmas Vacation?
With Chevy Chase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that movie is. I mean, nobody dies, but like, there's that scene in Christmas Vacation where Chevy Chase is like watching his old 1950s like film footage of him as a kid, and like, wow, like my dad used to make it all come together, and like that's kind of the whole plot of that movie is like he's the guy that has to deliver the great Christmas now. Like he's got to put the lights up, everything's got to be perfect. So when I was watching this movie, I was like, it's a good idea, but it felt very reminiscent of that plot of A Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, but we've already talked about this. Movies are just recycling at this point. Like, there's only people have no more new plots. So
Then don't make it. I don't know. If you don't have a new idea, just don't make one just to make it.
no, I'm confused. This guy, he's not in Gremlins. He's the dad in Billy Madison. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I don't remember that guy from Gremlins.
Damn
but-
it, Billy! Like,
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. But anyway, so I mean, I don't know. I just didn't really think the plot was super original, but it was fun to see. I don't know, the passing of the torch in a family, I guess.
yeah, it had a lot of nostalgia. He went to the hometown bar and he saw, all his friends who I guess just like didn't move away, and they go to the bar every. Dude, there were a couple scenes where I laughed pretty hard.
Really?
What's that dude? The guy with like the crazy hair who ate like 10 casseroles, and he's like, I come here to get away from my family.
Yeah. I guess that was kind of funny. Yeah. He wasn't in the original one, so that was kind of. I don't know why. They
Oh, he
introduced
wasn't?
This... No, this like washed up old football star. Yeah, remember like the most popular girl the most popular guy in your high school? That's what happened to him. It's like he's just a alcoholic, I guess.
That, I like the cowboy scene. That was cool. It was okay. It was good for the whole family.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of the things that made the first one fun. Yeah, like that cowboy scene where it's just like, Ralphie, like, you gotta help us, and it turns into like a different movie. Like, yeah, that was fun. Same thing, I feel like they were really trying to just like recapture the magic of the first one where it's like Ovaltine. They're talking about Ovaltine so much in that one. This one, it's like Bactine. It's like my mom would put Bactine on everything, and they just talk about Bactine the whole movie. You're like, okay. So like they're trying to make connections, but
Now I remembered the funniest scene that I laughed at was when he was in prison and the family is like in the future and the son's all like emo with a paperclip through his lip and he's got a British accent. He's like, why are you talking like that? And
oh, now you care, Daddy. You didn't care before. It's like,
and
what?
then the daughter's eyes all messed up from him throwing the snowball and she's pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that was pretty good. That was pretty
Yeah, that scene was pretty funny. It's just like, what happened to your eye? And they all look at him like, you did this. He's like, oh my god. Yeah, okay, that was probably the funniest part of the whole movie for me.
Me personally, I've never been a fan of movies where like the monologue thing's going on, you know, where like the guy narrates, you know, like he's talking and he's also talking in his mind. I'm just not for me. But yeah.
Did you like it in this one or no?
It was okay. It's just not my style of movie that I like.
Okay, so you like hate like Arrested Development then, I'm assuming?
I haven't seen Arrested Development in a while. But I do like Jason Bateman, so I can make some exceptions. This guy, I don't really know this guy too well. So
yeah, and it's interesting that he was narrating his own story, I guess. And the last one, it had that guy, oh my god, Gene Shepherd. Gene Shepherd. That guy, his voice was so great. And I think Ralphie nailed it. I think the actor that played him did a great job with that voice. He really, I don't know. I liked it. I liked the voiceover narration in this one.
What would have happened if he didn't get a call about the obituary writing? Like, I mean, they had like, first of all, I've never heard of cracking an egg in a radiator type thing, but it sounded like they literally had $0 to their name. And it was just funny because like, he's only been out of work for a year. So I don't know what their financial situation was a year ago. Maybe they were okay and they ran out of cash, and I don't know if the mom's working. But when the mom was like, you know what, I've been thinking, even though we literally can't afford to eat and our car's broken, you can give it a little longer. And I'm like, can you though? Like,
yeah.
Can you though? Like when they opened the egg carton and there were no eggs left, I'm like, you couldn't even get more eggs? Like,
dude, the ending was a little stupid. Like, yeah, like, so the plot is basically Ralphie is a struggling writer. He took a year off from his career, which also I don't really know if you can do that. You can be like, hey, I have a great job where I'm able to support a family, and I'm going to just take a year off. Hopefully, if this works out. If it doesn't, then I'm going to go back to my job. Like, I don't really think that's a thing. Also, no idea what the wife does. If she has a job, I don't know. Does she have enough to support an entire family? So, yeah, so Ralphie fails at his writing mission. His book gets turned down by 16 publishers, and the local newspaper in Indiana gets his obituary that he wrote about his father in the first movie, just writing about the plot of the first movie. The local Indiana newspaper thinks it's such a great story that they don't only publish it not as an obituary, but as a story in their newspaper. It somehow goes in syndication. This is like the smallest newspaper in the country, then it going into all these other ones. Like, no one's going to care. This is about a dude in this town in Indiana. That's why everybody's like, good job, Ralphie. You're the man, Ralphie. Nobody's going to give a fuck in Kansas about this story.
They were like, yeah, the literal one publisher who liked your writing, who just happens to be working on Christmas. It's like, he liked it so much that they're just going to approve you for books. Like, they just want books now.
I don't know if it was about the book. I don't know if it's like he's like a columnist in a newspaper now. But yeah, exactly. He wrote the obituary the day before Christmas. This guy is just working on Christmas. He's like, God damn, this is good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to somehow reach out to all these other national newspapers, hoping they're working on Christmas Eve or whatever, and convince them to publish this guy and to give more. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. We're not stupid. Like, I know it's Christmas and blah, blah, blah. No.
I mean, the movie hit its two main points, which was it's about family, which is, that's what the movie did a good job with, and that, like, Christmas miracles can happen because, like, this dude was, I mean, granted, back in the early 70s, like, one person could support a family with a mediocre job. Whereas if this was today, he'd be like on the corner. Like Ralphie would be on Ralphie's corner, like $5 Ralph jobs. Like and you know what else I was laughing at too is they have the shittiest car in the parking lot, right? Mm-hmm. And they saved up like all year for Christmas presents. And you're telling me that if you're a robber, right? And you're in a parking lot and you're looking at all the cars, you got nice cars, shitty cars. You're telling me you're breaking into the shittiest car hoping there's something in there? I'd be breaking into Mercedes-Benz and Lincolns and something.
I think we're overthinking this a little bit.
No, I think we're doing the perfect amount of thinking. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, it's just supposed to be a Christmas movie.
Like if you're a robber and you're at the mall, right?
Yeah.
and there's like there's a Lexus, there's a Toyota big SUV, nice one, and then you have like a really old like '93 Honda Civic where it's like rusted. You're like, I'm breaking into that one.
I wouldn't do that.